The nation has never seen such a mighty movement, a modern-day incarnation of what my father called the coalition of conscience.
And gave permission.
These are not acts of peaceful protest, but really domestic terror.
Unrest is a facet of every election in the world, but the level of election season violence that we are seeing in America now is extraordinary. Something like this has not been seen since the street clashes of 1968. So what is going on and whom does this help? America has burned this entire summer, but to what end? Let me start by telling you what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin on the 23rd of August. An unarmed black man was shot several times. His name was Jacob Blake. He was only 29 years old. He is only 29 years old, and he is now partially paralyzed. What you see on your screen are visuals of police officials providing him with medical treatment, the same cops who shot him, trying to save his life. These images went viral, and by evening, a mob descended on the streets. It started burning things down, vehicles, shops, homes, all set on fire. The arsonists defied dusk to dawn curfews. They tossed Molotov cocktails and bricks at the cops. The police responded with tear gas and pepper sprays. This went on for 3 days. On the 27th of August, armed militias were out, self-styled vigilantes patrolling the streets with rifles. They clashed with the protesters. Among the vigilantes was a 17-year-old boy. His name is Kyle Rittenhouse. He's emerging as a hero for some in America. Why? Because the 17-year-old shot dead 2 anti-racism protesters. Let that sink in. A teenager killed 2 men. He came prepared for the worst. He was armed with an AR-15 style rifle. He was being chased and kicked by protesters. And in his defense, this boy decided to pull the trigger. What followed was more chaos. Protesters on both sides burned entire buildings to the ground. Look at these images, smoke billowing from buildings as far as the eye can see. This is the aftermath of a week of arson in Kenosha. These buildings belong to both black and white Americans, but their identities do not matter anymore. And this is not just a story of Kenosha anymore. This fire is spreading across America. In Denver, armed protesters are rallying on the streets. In Los Angeles, huge crowds are gathering every night in complete defiance of social distancing. In Portland, too, the crowds are swelling. The violence has not died down. And in Washington, D.C., the protests have turned entirely political. Leading them are the Democrats, inciting sentiments, fueling unrest. Listen to this.
Road ahead. It is not going to be easy. But if we work together to challenge every instinct our nation has to return to the status quo and combine the wisdom of longtime warriors for justice with the creative energy of the young leaders today, we have an opportunity to make history right here and right now. So thank you so much for inviting me to celebrate with you. Let's march on in the name of our ancestors and in the name of our children and grandchildren.
March on in the name of our children, says Kamala Harris. Her party is conducting its election campaign digitally. The Democrats are addressing the people from the safety of their homes, but they want the protesters to keep marching on. And then we have the U.S. president missing no opportunity for a photo op. Donald Trump traveled all the way to Kenosha on Wednesday. He did not go there to comfort the family of the black man who was shot. He went there to defend the police and the 17-year-old shooter, Kyle Rittenhouse. Here's what Donald Trump said in their defense. And I'm quoting, "People choke just like in a golf tournament."
They choke, just like in a golf tournament. They miss a 3-foot.
You're not comparing it to golf because, of course, that's what the media.
I'm saying people choke.
People panic.
Choke.
Yeah.
And people are bad people. You have both. You have some bad people, and they choke. You could be a police officer for 15 years, and all of a sudden you're confronted. You've got a quarter of a second to make a decision. If you don't make the decision and you're wrong, you're dead. People choke under those circumstances, and they make a bad decision.
People choke. Donald Trump's selective outrage is only pushing America further into chaos. And if you think that's bad, then you must listen to his opponent, Joe Biden. He promises to have a concrete solution to the protests, but he's decided to keep it to himself till the 3rd of November.
The president long ago forfeited any moral leadership in this country. He can't stop the violence because for years he's fomented it. You know, he may believe mouthing the words law and order makes him strong, but his failure to call on his own supporters to stop acting as an armed militia in this country shows how weak he is. Does anyone believe there'll be less violence in America if Donald Trump is reelected?
Here's the bottom line. Donald Trump and Joe Biden can both see what's happening in front of their eyes. They can both see that their country is burning, but they have decided to play to the galleries and push the narrative that suits them. Donald Trump will not speak a word against the armed militias, and Joe Biden won't speak out against the arsonists and the looters. The presidential election is still 2 months away.